everyone. Welcome to day 2 of BB Dev Days, and welcome to Built to Convert online giving donation forums. Really excited to have you here today. I am joined by Lacey, Kruger, and Sam McGuin. They're your presenters today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A tab, engage with each other in the chat, and without further ado, Lacey, take it away.
Right. Thanks, Jessica. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to Build to Convert. I'm Lacey Kruger, and I'm going to be your host today. So I'm going to be talking about online giving donation forms. I'll be able to show off the forms, and we'll talk about add-ins and all sorts of fun things you can do with them. So like I said, I'm Lacey Kruger. I'm a senior product manager here at Blackbaud. I've been at Blackbaud for 19 years, so basically since I was born. And I have spent most of that time building donation forms and designing websites for nonprofit customers. And about 2 years ago, I moved into the products team, and I'm lucky enough to be on our online giving team with Samantha that's on the call here today, designing our latest innovations in donation forms. So I'm excited to be able to show those off to you today. And we'll do a demo of the forms. I'll show you an overview of the functionality we have to offer on the forms. And these are the online giving donation forms. I'll talk about availability and everything as well. And then we'll talk about how we built these forms to convert. And we'll talk about the 6 keys to conversion. And these are things that we've infused into the design of our online giving forms, but they're also best practices for donation forms in general that you can take back and maybe implement on your forms, whether or not they are online giving forms. So hopefully you'll get some great information about what works well for conversion and be able to take that back to your everyday. We'll also look at add-ins that you can build for donation forms. And then we'd like to take some time at the end to do some discovery around add-ins. Add-ins are something that you can build to put into a form and customize it to meet your needs. And we don't have a ton of customers using add-ins on our online giving forms today. And so we'd like to spend some time diving in with this community to see, what ideas you have for these types of add-ins. I've pulled up a few examples, but if you have an example of a form that you'd like to be able to show off and get some feedback on, maybe we could talk about add-ins for that. Please be pulling those up while we're talking so that we can take a look at those together at the end. I'd like to have some Q&A time for that. All right. So let's take a look at Blackbaud donation forms. I thought I'd start off with this slide that we presented during our online giving product update briefing back in April. And it just introduces the concept of online giving and what we're hoping to do for you with online giving. So the online giving donation forms are intended to help you raise more, save more, and sleep better. And these concepts were woven through our product update briefing. I hope you'll go back and watch that if you haven't seen it already. But it's basically the principles we use to get to help build the donation forms and help drive our strategy for what we're going to build in the future for the forms. So I hope you'll take a look at that if you haven't. There's a quick question in the chat if online giving donation forms are NXT donation forms. The answer is yes. So the donation forms I'm talking about today are called Blackbaud donation forms in online giving. They're powered by Blackbaud Merchant Services. And there's 2 flavors of forms in online giving. There's the standard form, and that is what we call the RANXT donation form. It's been available in RANXT under Tools Donation Form Designer since 2018. And so that's kind of the RANXT form. We have done a ton of development on that form since 2018. And then we've also just released our optimized form, which is coupled with the standard form. And now it's in online giving. So you access that through a different menu item when you're in RANXT. But yes, these are the donation forms that are available to you as an RANXT customer. The standard forms are available in all regions. So no matter where you're located, you have access to standard forms. And they're available for RANXT only right now, but we're starting an early adopter program for BBCRM and Altru customers actually within the next 3 weeks, I believe that's kicking off. So the BBCRM Altru early adopter program is kind of the first step in getting these forms out to all BBCRM and Altru customers as well. The standard form is customizable and it supports Sky add-ins. So that's what we'll be talking about a little bit later as well. The optimized donation form is also RANXT only right now, and it's only available in the USA. It was generally released to everyone in USA in February of this year, and we're working on getting that out to our international customers as well, hopefully later this year. And then that optimized form is also going to be a part of the BBCRM Altru Early Adopter Program that's starting in June. So hopefully that will come out to all you as well later, or that's the first step in getting the optimized form and the standard form out to all of our BBCRM and Altru customers. The optimized form is a more streamlined experience. It's a more modern design, and it's something that we do A/B testing and optimization on the back end to make sure that that form is optimized for conversions. So there's an overview of the forms. Let's take a look at the forms in action. Let's see, let me share my video.
Let's take a look at both of these forms. Here we have an optimized form. This is a modal-based form that sits on top of a web page. On the left, we have our visually impactful branding card, which focuses your donor to a campaign or your mission as a whole. On the right, we have our donation form itself. Donors can choose from one-time or monthly gifts. They can choose from a giving amount from the ask ladder, or they can type in a custom amount. We also recently added the ability for a donor to add in a comment to your organization that would sit on their gift record. From there, they go directly into the payment method selection. The form itself supports credit card, direct debit, Google Pay, as well as Apple Pay, which you don't see here since I'm not on an Apple device. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Google Pay wallet. We always collect first name, last name, and email address. And your browser autocomplete will help a donor along in that regard. And then depending on your form settings, you can set up your form for different cover options. This is showing our complete cover option, which means we have 0% transaction fees on donations that come through this form. We also have a traditional donor cover option, and these are both options, so you don't have to have a cover option as well. And then since I'm using my Google Pay wallet, I'll go ahead and finish that transaction in my wallet. That makes it very quick for donors to access their payment methods. From here, my payment is actually complete. My card has been charged, and I can go ahead and enter in my optional information. So you can add address and phone as optional cards. At this point, the donation is made, so donors at this point can actually close their form, but we do encourage them to go complete the form and complete those additional information. We do find about 60% of donors do choose to give their phone and address through the form. And then I'm on the confirmation screen. My payment, as I said, has already been completed, and I receive an email confirmation. We do have a quick survey that we offer to donors today where we are comparing donor sentiment from the standard form and the optimized form. So that's our optimized form. As we go into our standard form, here's an example of a standard form that is embedded within a web page itself. So you can put content around this form if you're embedding it on your own web page. You can see here, this is more of your long form format. So depending on what fields and features you turn on in the form, which I've turned on quite a lot for this demo, you will have a different length of a form. So you could turn on gifts on behalf of an organization, fund selector, tribute, etc. So this form, as the donor goes through it, I do have recurring gift upsell turned on, and finally it does go into Blackbaud checkout in order to complete this transaction. So that's really just a quick comparison of the two forms. As we've been saying, as you will hear, we do believe in form choice, and there is a place for both of these forms. We do see a lot of customers using both forms at this point, which is 100% fine, and why we want to make sure that you have the options with the standard form to do more customization, as the optimized form is more optimized for that donor experience.
Okay, we're back. So thanks for the demo. I know there's going to be a lot of questions about what each form can do, and I'm seeing them pop up in the chat right now. So there is information in our product update briefing about roadmap for future work on each of the forms. So optimized form today is lacking a few pieces of functionality that we're working hard to get added onto it. And so things like selecting a designation on the form is coming soon. We added comments to the form. That's a newish release, but we're working to add functionality to that optimized form as we go. And you can look at the roadmap and the product update briefing to get more information about that. So one of the things that we look at when we're designing these forms is conversion. And so that's kind of what this talk is about, is conversion. So when we look at conversion, we're looking at the percentage of donors that visit your donation form and go all the way through to completion of the form. We also look at the number of people that start the form and then complete it too. So we kind of look at two metrics when we're trying to improve conversions with these forms. And like I said, for the optimized form, we're starting some optimization and A/B testing around conversion. And so these are the metrics that we're going to be looking to drive up with those A/B testing changes. So small design tweaks that make impact on these different numbers, on the percentage of donors that complete the form. And then also we look at the donation amount. So the average one-time gift amount, the average recurring gift amount, and then the percentage of gifts that come through the form that are recurring gifts, because we know that those are more lucrative over time. So we've seen a lot of great performance metrics so far with our optimized form, which is propelling us forward on this A/B testing and optimization journey. So we've got a couple of customers here that we shared this in the product update briefing as well. But the Washington National Park Fund on the left, they saw a 40% increase in donations during their year-end campaign from using the optimized form. And this is in comparison to using the standard form. So we are seeing, better conversion results, better gift amounts on the optimized form in general. They saw an 18% in donor conversion for that specific customer. And then for Seed Savers Exchange, in their optimized form performance, they saw a 60% increase in average gift amount and a 10% increase in conversion rate. So these numbers are, sometimes large percentages, and they're just driving up the bottom line. So that's what we're looking to do for you with these forms, is just help you raise your bottom line. So the 6 keys to conversion that we look at, I'm going to share these slide by slide. And basically, these are kind of the design tenets that we considered when we designed the optimized form. Some of these are part of the standard form design as well, and you'll see examples of that throughout. And then, like I said, a lot of these conversion keys are things that you could implement on any donation form. So things you can take back to your design team or your development team and say, hey, can we do this? Is this something we can do? We've seen that this has better performance. So let's take a look at the 6 keys to conversion. Okay, so key number 1 is that the form needs to be fully integrated with your website and your brand. So anytime a donor has to leave your website to complete their gift, you have a higher rate of abandonment. So you want to keep them in your website when they're giving. Key number 2 is that the form should have bite-sized steps on multiple screens, also known as a mobile-first design. So we're we're seeing the trend move away from a long form and move towards a short kind of page by page form that donors are accustomed to. And we'll see some data that supports that as well as I go through that slide. Key number 3 is that the form should encourage recurring gifts. Always make that an option. Conversion key number 4 is that the form should only collect essential data before the gift processes. So this is a tricky one, and we'll go through how the form handles this as well. Key number 5, the form needs to anticipate and offer all relevant payment methods. This can be a challenge with a lot of different donation forms, so it's nice that our standard and optimized form have these built in for you. And then key number 6 is that the form needs to build trust with visible security measures. Okay, so the first key is that the form should be fully integrated with your website and brand. So I mentioned, as your donors, if your donors have to navigate away from your site, they're more likely to abandon. I saw one study that showed an 8% drop in just having the form be on a different page, for example, and that's 8% people leave completely. So the newest design trend we're seeing around this integration is to have the form live as an overlay on top of your site, like we see here with the optimized form. This is a great way to get your donors into your form because it keeps them engaged with your website. So if you think about your donor reading a page on your website that compels them to give, the form pops right over that page. And then when they finish giving, they're still on that page. So they can continue reading that story. They could share it with a friend and stay engaged with your organization and with your content. So the overlay design is really ideal. We like to see the optimized form and the overlay design used for the main donate button on your website. So that's something that we're recommending, is that since this form is optimized for conversion, to use it for kind of your highest volume stream of giving on your website. So having that pop over any page the user's on, then it just makes that experience more easy for them. Another way that you can fully integrate your form with your website is to embed it in a page on your site. So this is an example of our standard form that's embedded on a customer's website. This is the First Nations Development Institute. And when you click donate, your navigation bar stays intact and the page just displays your donation form on it. One of the nice things about the standard form is that you can put supporting content around the form. So they've done a nice job here of showing how their funds are used and allocated, and having some photography to kind of pull at the heartstrings as well. So embedding the form in a web page on your website is another way that you can kind of keep donors engaged, keep them from clicking away to your to give. Keep them from clicking out of your website to give. Okay, looking at the design principle number 2, this idea of the bite-sized steps on multiple screens. So, I think there was a design decision made back in the day to put all the fields on the donation form on the page so that you can it sets the donor's expectations of all the information that they're going to need to provide, and just has it all simple on one page. So that was the design trend of yore. The design trend that we're seeing now is this kind of bite-sized multiple screen donation form, and I think it's probably taken hold because of our little phones, and we like to see everything on the phone, and then we tap through, and we're just kind of used to tapping and scrolling through things. So this also is supported by it decreases your cognitive load. So it's like you're not looking at the whole thing. You don't have to scroll down on your phone. You just see bit by bit. And so it just makes people complete the gift more. We ran an A/B test on one of these multi-screen forms, and it was the same form design. One form had the long form on it, and then the B version had just a multi-screen step-by-step page format. And we saw significant conversion differences and just significant performance differences in that multi-step form. So we saw 75% higher conversion rate, 90% more overall gifts on the multi-step form, and a 54% higher average gift. So it was staggering, the data to support this multi-screen format. And what I'll tell you is that all these design principles are really kind of for now. These trends could change in the next few months even. And so, one of the nice things about using these forms is that we'll adapt them to future design trend changes and be able to do that so that we can roll that out to you and you can have the highest performing form possible. Okay, key to conversion number 3 is that your form needs to encourage recurring gifts. Recurring donors are 66% more likely to be retained by your organization year over year. They're more valuable to you, so you should just always make recurring giving an option. I almost always get the question as to whether you should default to a recurring gift. And my thought on that is that for your main donation form, we were talking about having that main donate button open the optimized form. Your main donate button should show a form that defaults to a one-time gift. I think that's what most donors give. But I think there is a pathway you should offer your users to a form that defaults to monthly. So if you have a monthly giving program, have a page about that on your website, have a section in your Ways to Give page talking about your monthly giving program, and then link that section to the form that has monthly defaulted or even monthly as the only giving option. I think if you set the stage for your donors that it's going to be a monthly gift, that you should default for it. But other than that, I think you should leave one time as the default. Okay, key to conversion number 4 is that the form should only collect essential data before processing. So we've seen through A/B testing that every single field you add to your form, even if it's not required, increases your abandonment rate. We've done some studies where we've removed non-required sections and even just a field or two from a donation form, and we've seen the shorter form have increased conversions by over 100%. So it's again that cognitive load. Seeing those fields on the form just creates friction. And so if we remove as many of those fields as possible, then people are more likely to complete their gift. So the optimized form asks for the additional data after the gift processes. And I know this is controversial for some database administrators. How do we match it to the correct constituent if their address isn't in there, et cetera. But we're finding some staggering data about the number of people that complete this step. I think the latest data is 70% of donors go ahead and complete the address step. And then, I think it would be ideal to do kind of a follow-up campaign with your donors that don't complete this information. That just encourages further engagement, and you can ask for the additional data after the gift is made, and then still kind of have an outreach to them, stay in touch with them so that you're top of mind. Key number 5, the form should anticipate and offer all payment methods. So the payment landscape is changing constantly, and it's just really hard to keep up with all the ways people want to pay. But the ideal solution is to make sure that you meet your donors where they are and give them the ways to pay that they're most used to paying with. This is going to increase their security and their confidence to give with you, and also make giving faster for them if they're used to paying with a certain wallet. So donors that are using Apple devices should see Apple Pay. Donors that are using Google should see a Google wallet. And the latest options should appear there for them. Now, we aren't seeing a ton of credit cards are still the main way people want to give. We aren't seeing a ton of adoption and percentage wise with the wallets, but we did observe higher conversion rates on forms that offer the wallet. So even if that percentage of donors isn't using a wallet, if the form just has the wallet on it, then we've seen increases in conversion, which is pretty cool. So why not give them the option to pay with these wallets? And the nice thing about these Blackbaud donation forms is that all is built into the forms. So we try to make onboarding as easy as possible for you for any of these wallet options, and then they'll just start displaying on your forms in the appropriate context. I hope y'all can't hear that jet. I bet you can, but sorry about that. I live by an Air Force base. Sorry about that. Okay, so payment methods are key to just have those available. Increases security and confidence. Go Air Force. Yes, for sure. I love hearing them. Okay, so key number 6 is that your forms should build trust with visible security measures. So the digital wallets, like I said, will help your donors feel secure, but it's also nice just to have security badges showing. Your donation form should always show in a secure browser, and you should see those little lock icons. ReCAPTCHA is part of our forms. Just having these security measures in place are going to make your donors feel more comfortable giving. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about add-ins a little bit. And so as I mentioned, the standard form today is the only place you can do add-ins. We are looking at adding add-ins as an option for optimized form, and we can talk about that a little bit today. But essentially, you can create Sky add-ins and show them on your donation form. There's admin-facing add-ins that you can add as a component in the donation form designer. And then there's user-facing add-ins that show on the donation form to the donors. I've linked some documentation here. I think you can grab that URL. Maybe we'll drop the URL in the chat for you. But the added, you should be able to access the slides afterwards. I'm not sure. We're having a sidebar about that. The add-ins are things that you can develop and customize your form. Show things on your form that aren't available to be shown on your form today. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what kinds of things you might like to see on the form. What kind of gaps do you see in these forms today? And is there anything that you think we could solve with an add-in? Are there any use cases you can think of for add-ins? So I'm going to stop for a moment of awkward silence. If you want to, I think you can raise your hand, and if not, you can pop in the chat there. Okay, pledge payments, I think, was suggested as an add-in. That's something that we're looking at adding to the forms themselves. So I don't know that we'll have to do an add-in for pledge payments, but that's a good idea. A soft credit to someone else. So that's an awesome idea. I have an example of that too. Let me see if I can share my screen instead of my slides. Let's see here. Stop sharing. Okay, so here's an example. This is the Relay for Life website, and they have a participant that they've selected. And so that's something that they're displaying here. So I think maybe a participant search add-in would be something you could do here. So then you could soft credit that person for the gift. Exactly. The ability for the donor to send an email to an honoree for tribute gifts. That is an awesome idea for an add-in, I think. And it's something we're looking at adding to the forms, but I don't know how far down that is on the roadmap. But yes, that would be awesome to be able to send an e-card or an email acknowledgement to the honoree, or there's an acknowledgee too that you can specify for tributes. That's a great idea. The organization donations are handled. So I think maybe this is a question about how organization gifts are handled on the form. So you can, on the donation form right now, you can give an organization gift. And when you do that, it opens the field and it lets you give I thought I had the standard form here, but I don't think I do. It lets you enter the organization's contact information. And in that situation, that goes into the organization record in NXT, and then the person's information goes in as a constituent record, and they're tied together, they're linked together. Okay, let's see. Looking at the questions here. If one person is making a gift on behalf of two people or separate household type of thing. So maybe that's what you mean by the soft credit. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. So you could, I wonder if people use comments for that right now, but you could have something that's a little bit more automated and creates that soft credit on the back end if you have an add-in for it. That's a great idea. Upcharges that disrupt the process. Okay, I love that idea, Kelly. And I have an example of that too. Well, actually, I don't think this is an upcharge. This is just an example of something you get with your gift. So, you can opt to receive this kind of, I call them premiums from the Luminate world, but you can opt to kind of receive this if you give a certain amount. So that's something that you could do as an add-in. I think that would be a great idea. Matching gifts. So there already is a matching gift add-in. I have an example of that as well somewhere. Oh, maybe I don't. So we do have a matching gift add-in. It's from a partner of ours, Double the Donation. And it inserts a place on the form where you can search for your organization and see if they'll match your gift. So that's something that's available now. So there's a question if the add-ins are part of NXT forms or if there's a third-party vendor you have to use. So the add-ins, you can create add-ins on your own. So anybody can create an add-in. You don't have to use a vendor, but we do have vendors create add-ins, and then you can, I believe you purchase those in the marketplace. So, but you can create them on your own and use them on your own for your form. You don't even have to share them, I don't think, but it's basically a way for you to customize the form and extend it. One of the things we've talked about with optimized forms is kind of where in the process you would show the add-in, so we would probably need a different card. There's the comments. We'd probably need a different card for it. So it's kind of like, where does it go? Does it go after the address or does it go before the address? What's the right place? So if you have any thoughts about that, we would love to hear them as well. Okay, let's see. Consent option. Each time a donor uses the form, the system creates a consent record, whether or not the donor answers the question. This isn't helpful. Okay, so I think this is probably related to some functionality we have on the standard form and how that works. So we'll definitely take a look at that and see if that's something we could address. I'm not sure all the ins and outs of how that works. Split gifts. So right now you can do split gifts on the standard form. You can add multiple designations. And I'm not sure. I know we're offering the ability to designate a gift to a specific fund on optimized form. I don't know if a split gift is part of that yet, but that would be something that you could consider for an add-in. It would be cool to have a preview option and show where the add-in could be. Okay, yes. So one of the cool things about the add-ins is that you can do, you drag them in with the donation form designer. So you can create that admin add-in and you can drag it in and put it in the place on the form where you want it to be. And then you can see it in your preview for sure. That's already part of the add-in functionality. Is there a possibility of adding dynamic asks to the optimized form? So that's a great question. We have intelligent ask, which is coming out soon, which is an algorithm based on some specific donor data that helps provide the best give ask ladder for that specific donor. And when you talk about a dynamic ask, that sounds dynamic to me. We're also looking at having something that you could do in the donor portal where it's customized to the donor's last gift. But that's a little further down the road. But that's a great idea, is having a dynamic ask. I know in Luminate you can do, you can customize it based on the donor's history, but the intelligent ask should kind of beef up those average gift amounts for sure. We find that customers are a little reticent to show higher gift amounts when their donors are less reticent to give higher gift amounts. So that intelligent ask functionality should be great to kind of help get you out of your comfort zone and ask for more money for people that would be apt to give more. Shopping cart. I'll share a couple of other ones I have in here. So this is another one that I just found this donation form, and it's a child sponsorship. So you choose if you want a boy or girl and kind of what region you want them want the money to go to. So it's kind of a designation, but it's also a little bit more personalized there. So that's something you could think of. And then this is a form that shows gifts with purchase. So this is a public broadcasting customer. And so depending on your gift amount, you have different thank you gifts that you could opt to receive there. So that's another thing we could do with an add-in, I think. Let's see, I'm popping over to the questions. It looks like Sam's answered a couple. There's a question about where the information from the add-in gets added to the record. And I don't know the answer to that. Sam, do you know the answer to that? So I think you control that when you build the add-in. I think you decide if that data gets added to the record. I'm not sure if there's just like a single place that it goes.
Yeah, so the donation form itself isn't going to add any additional information, but essentially what we do is, so for example, the double donation, the matching gift add-in, in the interface, the donor selects their company name. That's stored in the add-in. So when they built that, they built the storage mechanism. The add-in has the ability to tie in or to grab the transaction ID. So then essentially once that transaction is complete, the add-in then will go ahead, look for that transaction ID and write the additional information into the gift record. So, obviously if you can use a custom field, then we'll take care of the integration for that. But with the add-in, you will want to make sure if you're collecting additional information, not only are you collecting it, but then you're using just the standard APIs, not for the donation forms, but for our NXT or BBCRM or Alteru to then write that information in.
Thanks, Sam. I just pasted the link to the Sky API extension point documentation. You can take a look at that if you'd like to, just in case the slides don't come through with that. It looks like we have a raised hand. I'm sorry, it might have been raised for a while. I just saw that. Does somebody want to ask a question? Okay, let's see. Sorry, did you have a question? Was that Carlin that had a question?
That was me. It looks like Carlin, if you're trying to talk, you're on mute. There should be a way that you can take yourself off mute.
There's a question about being a big university. Ioana, I think is okay, no question. Being a big university, we have an extensive list of funds for each faculty on the multi-funds form. Is there an easy way to search? So we do have something, available in website components. It's called a designation search. And so that should help you get the functionality you need. You can also build a designation search outside of the tool and then direct to a form and pass that through. There's something called URL pass-through that you can pass the designation into the form. And so those are two options for that scenario where you've got a lot of different funds that users need to be able to sift through.
Yep, and I answered Megan. We do, so as we roll out to beyond RENXT, this answer varies. The answers start to vary a little bit more as we build out integration, but for RENXT, we do support gift attributes or gift custom fields, whichever nomenclature you want to use. You can add those into your form today, and we will be adding similar functionality into BBC Airman Ultra. It won't be ready for the initial GA release, but it is actually in development now. So hopefully we'll get that in as soon as possible after release.
Question about if OLX includes magic links to deep link donators to the fund selection. I don't know. Does it?
Yeah.
Does that have something with that?
The URL pass-through is essentially a magic link. So it is the same functionality. So we do support that pass-through or magic link to funds today in both forms.
Great. All right, y'all. Any other questions? We'll hang out for the next few minutes. I have a slide with our emails on it. I'll share that. Sam, question if the forms will integrate with Google Analytics Tag Manager.
Yep, we support Google Analytics today for standard form. We're adding in that support for optimized form. We have gotten some requests for some deeper integration with specific Google tags or custom tags. That is something that we're looking at, but is not supported quite yet. Carlin, your question about membership. So the forms that we showed today are specifically for donations. We do have some customers that are using them for memberships. So they have adjusted the standard form ask ladder descriptions for their membership levels. But right now we are expecting one donor through each form. There's an exception for corporate gifts, but ultimately we are not set up right now for like membership, multi-person memberships and relationships. The customers that we have that are using the standard form for that are typically doing some work in database view, hopefully soon moving that work to web view until we build out an actual membership form.
Thanks, Anne. All right, we have 1 minute left. I'm going to ask Jessica to launch the survey. And please reach out if you have any other questions or feedback. We'd love to collaborate on some add-ins with you. If you have some great ideas, you did have some great ideas. I really appreciate the sharing and all the questions. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great BB Dev Days.
Thanks, y'all.